So I know better than to look up medical stuff on the internet. Really, I do, but the medical community seems to want to make me do it. I shouldn't be too harsh on the medical community, seeing as how technically I'm part of it, but they do seem to be out to get me. For those who've been reading Quarter Rest, I think I've mentioned at some point that my knees and my ankles and stuff have been bothering me since the magpie was born last June, and it took me a few months to sort of, realize it was actually a thing, and go to my doctor, and she did some tests and they were all fine, so she sent me on to a specialist, and I finally saw the specialist on Tuesday this week, and he sent me for some more tests, which is fine. I knew what some of the tests were, and some of them I hadn't heard of before, but he put diagnosis, possible diagnosis down with them, because you got to do that when you're ordering fancy tests. And I wasn't going to look them up. I sort of could tell what they meant from the medical terminology, but didn't want to look up the implications or the symptoms, because I didn't want to start going all hypochondriac and think, oh yeah, maybe I do have that symptom, or that could have happened, and I didn't want to go there. But one of the tests he ordered was an x-ray, which is fine, that makes sense. So I went and got the x-ray done, and they do the one x-ray, and they send you back to your room in case, you moved or the x-ray got screwed up and they have to redo it. You have to wait a couple of minutes. So the guy comes back and says, oh, sorry, you'll have to come back in. We need more x-rays. The doctor wants to see more x-rays. I'm like, okay. So not only did the doctor want 4 more x-rays, he wanted 4 completely different x-rays. So it's not that the x-ray that they did was screwy or wonky. It's that they wanted more angles and more views, and oh my god, great. They did this to me before, not they. The general they did this to me before a couple of years ago when I had my thyroid tested, and the technologist in training was watching the screen and went, oh my god, what are those black spots? They turned out to be nothing, but the 3 weeks it took from the time of the ultrasound of my thyroid to the time I got to see that specialist were a little stressful. So needless to say, I'm trying very hard not to freak out, but I'm now kind of freaking out again because they needed more x-rays. So of course I go online after that and I look up the couple of diagnoses that the doctor's questioning, and they're not nice. They're ugly, and I know the chances of me actually having these things are not, they're horribly remote, same as even with the tests that my original family doctor did that were negative, and I know they have to do that to rule these things out, and that's why I'm going there, to rule out the big nasty evil things that could be going on. And I want them ruled out, of course, but the problem with having them all ruled out is all you're left with is a head full of crazy afterwards, from going through all this and finding out, no, it's okay, nothing's wrong, or nothing's wrong, why do your knees still hurt? But we'll see what happens. It's probably going to go the same way with me that everything else goes by the time I go through this process and get to the point where nothing's really wrong or nothing's seriously wrong, or do a few extra stretches and you'll be fine. It'll have cured itself on its own. But in the meantime, I get to keep the medical system engaged and go back and see specialists and all that kind of fun stuff. I mean, at least the specialist is nice. He's a really nice guy. He's got a really great office. It's kind of sad that I like him a little better because he has a really nice office, but these things matter. Aesthetics count. Not that you would know that from looking at my house, but they do. So yeah, so that's sort of been my week. I get another 3 weeks before I go back again and have all the test results, and hopefully everything's negative. And even if everything is negative, hopefully he's still got some ideas as to what could be going on, so I know where to go from here. Sorry, that was a bit of a downer this week, but that's kind of where things are at. And you probably won't hear any more about it for another 3 weeks because I don't want keep harping on it, you know, because you don't want to hear me harping on it, and it'll stress me out if I do, so. But I did just kind of have to get that out of my system today, so thanks for listening. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys in another week.